All right. So welcome to Joan Crawford Movie Month. So in honor of Joan's birthday in March, I am teaming up with her grandson, Casey LaLonde, for a discussion of four of her most memorable films. So we will be discussing one film a week for the month of March. And we would like you to join us for the celebration. And you can do that by engaging in the comments, telling us some of your favorite scenes, co-stars, any way that these films have touched your lives as they have touched ours. So I think that we will go ahead and maybe start off with Humoresque, 1946. Am I
Hmm.
correct? Okay.
Correct. Oh
Yes,
yeah.
it's many of Joan's fans have probably seen this, but we could describe it as Joan being, the wealthy woman of stature who falls sort of tragically in love with a young musician played by John Garfield. And it's one of my favorite films. And I was wondering, Casey, what you thought of Humoresque, any favorite scenes or anything that you would like to elaborate on?
Sure. And thank you again for the warm welcome. Humoresque is part of the trifecta of what I call the Warner Brothers trifecta. Mildred Pierce, Humoresque, and then Possessed, the second Possessed, nothing related to the 1931 Possessed, completely different story. I think my favorite scene, although it's extremely tragic at the end when Joan walks into the surf and commits suicide, it's such a sad end to the film. It's very heartbreaking. It's just indicative of the entire film because she's unhappy in her, very convenient marriage. And then she falls in love with the incredible John Garfield, and it just doesn't work. And he wants it to work. She knows it's never going to work.
Take me into your life, Paul.
But you're married, Ellen.
We're both old enough to vote.
What can this boy give you? Suppose you do marry him. How long would it last? You know yourself better than anyone else, Helen. Can you change now?
Just a tragic ending just to a fantastic film.
I agree. And you stole my favorite scene, or we have the same favorite scene. That
Absolutely.
was, but I am not surprised because that seems to be the most impactful. And what what gets me about that scene also is just the dramatic close-up that they give her in that as she walks into the ocean, you can almost see the breeze,
Absolutely.
and it just creates this whole mystique that I think draws us into that moment.
Hmm.
We don't see her walk in, yet we know what's happening.
Absolutely. Right.
And Joan could convey so much with her face and her eyes.
Yeah.
It always reminds me of George Cukor's comment on her about the closer the camera, the more tender and yielding she became. And when they just bring in that close up, there's just something about it that I think is very affecting. And that is also my favorite scene. And you may, well, I'm sure you know this,
Hmm.
but I was reading your mom, who is Joan Crawford's daughter, Kathy, actually mentioned this as being a memorable scene for her in her childhood.
Hmm.
Humoresque seemed to be a film that Joan liked to screen in her home theater that she had. And your mom, Kathy, remembers watching it as a child. When that scene comes on, she was just gripped with, is this really happening?
Of
Trying to
course.
understand the reality from a child's
Yep.
perspective of what
Right.
her mom did for a
Right.
living, which was essentially an actress. And she said that's how she found out, really found out what Joan did. So that scene has just affected, I think, a lot of us who've watched the film.
Right.
And another thing about it too is it's not, I wouldn't call it a musical as much as a drama, but is heavily orchestrated.
Right.
And that's something, I love music, but for me, classical is my least favorite genre.
Okay.
And why this film works for me still, and why I love it and can watch it all the time, is
Hmm.
because the way that they have some of these scenes where it's a long, drawn out concert. But what they do is bring in close-ups of Joan in the audience
Right.
or other audience members, and it draws you into that emotion. There's so many good actors in that film, but is there a favorite or a standout co-star for you?
It's got to be John Garfield, her co-star. I mean, in almost in my mind, I mean, I've watched the movie 30, 40 times over my life. Joan is obviously a star. This was a John Garfield movie for the most part. Joan, she's not a supporting actor in it, but it's John Garfield's movie. And whenever he's on screen, he just has this commanding presence. And he died, of course, way too young. And this role, in my opinion, is one of his best in his career. And I'm going to throw in a fun fact here. If people who have not seen the movie need to watch it, for one, but the scenes where John Garfield is playing the violin is actually a violinist coming in from behind him and playing with their hands and arms. And John Garfield, it's so, they just did it so well. You can't tell that he's not playing the violin. The camera angles and how the violinist did that without seeing what he was doing. I have no idea. I've never played a violin before. The music is just outstanding that's coming out of that instrument, and just the sleight of hand and the camera angles just make it so incredible and believable. But yeah, John Garfield's my favorite, outside of Joan, of course.
Yes.
Film. He just does a great job, and it's just such a neat dramatic role for him.
I totally agree. I was going to mention that if you didn't. And I had read something, there's a lot of lore around how films are made, but I had read that the professional violinist's hand was slipped through John Garfield's coat, and that's how they were able to do that.
Right.
But however it was done, it's completely seamless.
Yeah. It's just incredible.
It is. And before I mention my standout co-star, you made me think of something when you said it was a Garfield picture, in a sense. Joan doesn't really show up on the screen for maybe the first 45 minutes.
Absolutely.
So, yeah. We don't see her for the first 45 minutes. So when she does make her appearance, I find it to be very different than some of her real dramatic entrances in other films. Essentially, there's a party scene, and many of people know this.
Oh, yeah.
And we see Joan almost as an extra. But
right. She's just hanging around the party. Absolutely.
Right. She's just blending in so perfectly. Sure. We wouldn't know who we were looking for until they put that camera on her and say, here's your hostess, Helen Wright, which is the character she played.
Right.
But I always find that interesting. It's like seeing her go back decades of being an extra, the way they gently brought her into this film.
Right. Absolutely.
I thought that was interesting. So my favorite, or my standout co-star, and I love John Garfield in this too. I'm gonna pick someone else, but only for a reason. But yeah. John, I think, had almost like a Gable magnetism a little bit. Joan on the screen.
I'm trying to find you. No, I won't. I can't. I love you, Paul.
That having been said, my standout is Oscar LaLonde. I just love his character.
Absolutely, I love any movie he is in. I will watch. Absolutely, he is incredible.
Now, he played, if I'm correct, he actually did play the piano for that. He's a composer, I believe.
Absolutely. He was an accomplished musician, and just an incredible film presence, just in a different way.
Exactly. Yes. He brought some humor to it, because it's very melodramatic and heavy, the film, most of it. So his little quips would kind of lighten the mood, like he would say, Mrs. Wright, does your husband interfere with your marriage? Or
right.
Helen Wright was born with a silver flask in her mouth. Just these sort of offhanded kind of comments that are just really lighten the mood. So I would pick Oscar LaLonde for my standout.
Oh, Mrs. Wright, this is my friend Paul Boret, and I'm sure that any friend of mine is not welcome here.
It's just one little thing, one little detail. Joan never dies in her films. She She just always survives somehow.
Mhm.
Even The Damned Don't Cry, you know, where she's in mortal danger, she still survives. To this day in Baby Jane, I still hope she's alive at the end of the movie. When the police arrive and hopefully save her, I don't know. But in this movie, she definitely meets her end. Absolutely. So Humoresque, one of my favorites as well.
Perfectly. Oh, quick fun fact. I'm sure
Yes.
you know Madonna did a remake for her music video. I think
Absolutely.
Power of Goodbye, and she really does
Yes.
almost like a step for step.
Absolutely. It's an incredible video, and to see Madonna, Joan, you know, transpose with Madonna and doing it in a slightly modern way, but not. It's almost like you said, frame for frame.
Yeah.
Madonna just did a fantastic job with her crew in recreating that scene.
Right